In my last video, when you are talking to others about flat Earth, I mentioned the default position. I now want to talk about using common sense when bringing up the subject of flat Earth. But first, we must understand the lesson of indoctrination. Now, this quote attributed to Joseph Goebbels can apply to many recent things, and it should really give you something to think about. If you tell a lie big enough and keep reading it, people will eventually come to believe it. The lie can be maintained only for such time as the state can shield the people from the political, economic and/or military consequences of the lie. It thus becomes vitally important for the state to use all of its powers to repress dissent. For the truth is a mortal enemy of the lie, and thus, by extension, the truth is the greatest enemy of the state. This, in part, also answers the question, why the lie? Now, when children are indoctrinated from a very early age to abandon their own common sense and experience in favour of a nonsensical, heliocentric globe model taught in schools, a schism occurs in their psyche. No longer can they trust their own senses and experiences, and instead must trust the information completely contrary to it by supposed experts and authority figures who insist that their version of reality is correct. When children see that every adult around them believes wholeheartedly in the spinning globe and hears that only our ignorant, unscientific ancestors believed otherwise, they readily abandon the empirical evidence of their own senses and adopt the prevailing nonsensical model. This helps to explain what I have been feeling and believing all of my life. So I say a big hooray for the internet and all those who have stood up for the flat Earth. The subject is becoming extremely shadow banned now. I wonder why. Remember this quote? Truth is the mortal enemy of the lie, and thus by extension the truth is the greatest enemy of the state. But we had a short window when great advances were made, so now indeed we must take every opportunity whilst time remains. Yes, from early in school when exposed to the globe model, I felt that schism, for however 40 they may be, I have always been willing to trust my own senses with regard to the earth being flat and not moving. But of course, that has always put me at odds with mainstream science. Of course you think, it must be me. Thank goodness when the internet came along and at last I realised I was not alone. This is not to be underestimated. It's certainly given me peace, so when asked, when did you first realise the earth was flat? Then truly I can say it was always there in the back of my mind all the time. After nearly 15 years of videos on the internet and social media platforms, just about every aspect of flat Earth has been covered. So inevitably, now we keep on repeating ourselves. And we must. It is essential for new people awakening and those who want a stronger and more firm foundation to get informed by choice, not indoctrination, and make up their own minds. As it is said, don't believe me, do your own research. The movement is growing, some say rapidly, particularly among the younger generation. They want to know, and the answers are here. Yet much of the 15 years of video material is suppressed or indeed now deleted. Such a pity. So older videos and topics on flat Earth inspire and strengthen me, but I hope I am able to bring you these ideas in a fresh, informative and perhaps in a little light-hearted way on occasions. I am indebted to Eric Dubay's video 20 Proofs Earth is Not a Spinning Ball for inspiration. His first proof is common sense, using your own common sense and experience, and includes the following points. First, go and look for yourself. There is no curvature. The flat Earth reality is what your eyes actually see. Second, you have and always will experience yourself right side up on a motionless earth, with the sun, moon and stars revolving over and around you. And this is what everyone experiences, everywhere, every day of our lives. Now, and this is the crux, we are taught, however, to believe many things that are contrary to our own common sense and experience from a very early age. We are told, for instance, that people living down under the spinning ball earth in Australia are actually living upside down relative to those living in the northern hemisphere. Whilst there is an invisible force strong enough to hold people, buildings and oceans to the underside of a rapidly rotating ball, but weak enough to allow birds, bugs and aeroplanes to take off and fly with ease, and a force which keeps the Earth's atmosphere spinning in perfect balance, holding everyone firmly to the surface without crushing us, and yet is weak enough that we can move, jump and do somersaults without being crushed, and of course feeling nothing. We can clearly see that the horizon is horizontal, but we are told that it curves. And we can feel the earth under our feet is motionless, but we are told it moves. And we can observe the sun, moon and stars revolving around us, but we are told that it is us that revolve. It is obvious that stars are stars, but we are told that stars are suns. And we can see the sun is bigger than the stars, but we are told that the stars are bigger than the sun. We can see that the sun and moon are the same size, but we are told that the sun is 400 times bigger than the moon. It is obvious to us that up is up and down is down, but we are told that there is no such thing and that it is all relative. Now, the idea that people are standing, ships are sailing, and planes are flying upside down on parts of the earth whilst others are tilted at 90 degrees and yet even more at an impossible angle is an utter absurdity, an affront to common sense. And lastly, it brings us to the point that common sense itself is the first casualty of globe belief. Common sense will tell you can see too far, water is always level, gas requires a container, we are not moving, the horizon is always at eye level. What did you think before you were indoctrinated? Sorry, I mean educated at school or the TV. Were you ever given an alternate option or viewpoint? Think about it, and then you should really have something to think about.